anyways, back to the podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Runeterrable Radio. I am Blevins. With me, as always, is Saucy Mailman. What's up, buddy?
Hey, yo, what's going on? How's it going, dude?
Whoo! It's going. It's going. We're in the most wonderful time of the year. Spoiler season. Got like what?
True.
100 cards that we have spoiled right now. I don't even know. Actually,
I think there's 73,000.
2, 4, 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, like 50. We have well over 50 cards, close to 100. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about, Saucy. Empires of the Ascended.
I know. It's before they started showing the cards and whatnot, I was like, oh yeah, like Shurima's a thing. Sure, I guess I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
But then after like seeing the animations.
Oh
the
my
animations
God,
for
they're so good.
Have blown me away. Someone last night said it best that Riot Games is the best movie company in the game business because of like how good this shit is. I'm super excited. And I'm learning a lot of stuff right now about all these different champions. Someone in chat just posted there's an article about all the height and weight of all the champions in League of Legends and their age. So I'm looking through and learning. Do you know Nasus is between 3496 and 4396 years old? He's about 4,000 years old or so. Not bad.
Interesting.
Yep. But it doesn't have their max height. So we're trying to figure out the question before the podcast started is how tall is Nasus when he's ascended?
Right.
When he's a big boy.
Yeah.
We don't know. So if you know, send us a message somewhere and let us know.
Camille is 8. Okay, I need to stop. I need to stop. I need to
know.
leave that as a tab to look through later, not while we're live.
Same. I had to do the same. I had the same thing because I'm like, oh, there's so much things I need to know.
We had to cut out about 15 minutes of us just going, yeah, that's
and we're back. All right, so that was 2.5 hours gone.
Yeah, we wasted about 3 or 4 hours just looking through different sizes. That sort of stuff really fascinates me, and I'll bring up a smaller version of the story for the podcast, mostly as a shout out to our buddy Skarzig. Make sure you check out Skarzig. Actually, I think they were just on the Twitch front page the other day, which is pretty awesome, playing Runeterra. Also a Fight Night EU caster. But long story short, Skarzig did a couple of Twitch streams where they went through and they calculated the size of the different wanderers, like they who endure, she who wanders, based on things of reference in the art. So like there's like some trees or something that like you can kind of get an idea of what size they are, and then compared to the art and reference, it's like, okay, you know, she who wanders is actually like 50 feet tall because this tree is, you know, 10 feet or whatever, and there's 5 of them, or so, essentially like that. So yeah, they've done a bunch of those streams, so I'm hoping that they're going to do one on Ascended Nasus and Ascended Renekton. I'm hoping.
That'd be good. I need to know, how tall is that big, tall doggo?
Yeah, I really want to know how big they are. But I mean, regardless, like you said, Saucy, those animations are great. They're really good. Which really begs the question, though. When is Teemo getting an updated level up animation? I mean, let's be completely serious. The elephant in the room here is
it's not
good.
Even comparable. Like the Aphelios spells have better animations than Teemo.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
I saw someone on Reddit, or I think it was someone on Reddit, posted that, like, you know, the next Shurima champion that comes out is just the level up animation is just going to be a 10-minute animation on the like founding of Shurima 1,000 years ago. It's gonna be like a documentary on Shurima.
yeah, I'm all about it.
So good. Yeah, Saucy, do we want to just dive right into some of these cards?
Yeah, let's talk. So we're in prime spoiler season.
Yeah.
The next episode of this podcast will be on launch day.
Yes.
for the new expansion. So you know, we've seen up until Nasus was today for people that are doing a historical time machine viewing of this show, as I know happens often. So we have everything up until that to talk about, which means we've got a lot of cards to talk about.
We sure do. So I'm just going to start right at the bottom. So we're not going to go through every single card, card by card. Maybe we'll do that with a guest or something on one of the future episodes, but we're not doing that now because this episode would be 5 hours long. We don't want to do that. So the first batch of cards that we got, that was with the Buried Sun Disc, not quite Renekton yet. We got the Sun Disc card, we got the Destined Poro, and we got the little preview of the word Ascended. We saw a little bit of like champion synergy with Shurima. Were there any cards that jumped out to you from that first batch of cards, Saucy?
The first bet, cards that I really like. The Golden Ambassador, I'm a big fan of.
Yes.
The 4-mana 3/2 Allegiance, draw a champion and grant it +2/+2. There's actually like a lot of, as we saw more today, there's a sub theme in Shurima specifically of being able to tutor for your champions, because champions are very important to Shurima. And also if you're keeping track, I'm gonna say Shurima and Shurima interchangeably, just to really piss off everyone. But Sharma has all these different ways to tutor the champs, find champs, and they play a lot with champs with the Restored Sun Disc and Buried Sun Disc. So that card is the Ambassador, is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think Golden Ambassador is definitely a very cool card. It's the Allegiance card for Charmin Ultra Strong. We need to say it wrong every single time. Which, I mean, it puts it in a pretty hollowed ground, right? Like the Allegiance cards are traditionally pretty good. You know, you compare this to like a Mistcaller, and it's like, I don't know how I feel about it compared to that. It does a very different thing, which is cool. But drawing a champion, granting it +2/+2, I mean, that's permanent stats. We know that's good. Drawing a champion, that can be very good, especially since you can technically manipulate it. You can only have one champion if you wanted to. If you wanted to play like, you know, mono Shurima plus like Fiora. Like if you wanted to play like the Fiora OTK type of deck, or like mono Fiora, you can play, you know, mostly Shurima cards, then have a tutor for Fiora. Though I think there's a better card that we'll talk about in a bit that was actually revealed today that works for. But I mean, nonetheless, like you don't have to always run your standard, you know, 2 champions, 3 of each, go from there. You can kind of get a little creative with these, you know, soft tutor cards. So that, you know, like we've seen with Zap Sprayfin, where sometimes you'll build a deck that it'll only draw Noxian Fervor. So you can kind of cheat, air quotes, cheat the tutor there. For me, from the first batch, and you know, we don't need to look at it through the lens of only having it be that one day. We can look at it through all the information we have so far. The Buried Sun Disc is one that I think it's very easily in the back of a lot of people's minds, right? It is clearly like a hallmark card of Shurima. It is a build around like to the extreme, right? And this is of course the 1-mana landmark. Start of game, draw me if all your cards are Shuriman, not Shurimian.
Shurimian.
It has countdown 25, countdown the new a new keyword. Basically is like what was the time spiral ability from like a million years ago from Time Spiral? Suspend. It's like suspend kind of, except it's in play. And does not you know, doesn't do anything while it's in play. And then when an ascended ally levels up, advance 10 rounds. Then when it finishes the countdown, you restore the Sun Disc, which immediately draws one of all of your ascendants, which we know now are Nasus and Renekton, at least so far. And for the rest of the game, your level 2 ascendants are level 3. So Nasus and Renekton are like all other champions, except they actually have a third level. For the first time, we're seeing a third level on the champions, which is kind of crazy. But I've seen a lot of people talking about and building around the Buried Sun Disc. You know, obviously the card wants you to be mono Shurima. I don't know if that is, you know, what that strategy is going to end up looking like, how good or bad it's going to be. But, you know, we even see a couple of other cards, Esteemed Hierophant. I thought there was another one, but maybe that's the only other one that actually references the Sun Disc, where you can advance it and level it up essentially a little bit faster. So that's what I'm excited about. I think a lot of people are going to be that feels like a Timmy type of card, where it's like, you know, you're going in, you're doing this like big splashy thing. You get to level up your champions to level 3. Pretty sweet, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Other cards I'm excited about from let's go from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
Quicksand is pretty sweet. 3
Yes.
mana burst spell. Give an enemy -4 attack and disable its keywords.
Yep.
Excluding any negative keywords this round. Woo! Sick.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I really
It's gonna piss a lot of people off.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Shurima Hush, right? It's like kind of like Hush, but maybe almost fair. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, you know, we've also got Exhaust, which is another way to lower units' attack, but also give vulnerable. We've got the Renekton champion spell, Ruthless Predator, give an ally +2/+0 and an enemy vulnerable this round. I mean, we've got a lot of...
And that's at burst speed.
Yeah, that one's at burst speed. Exhaust is unfortunately at focus... Oh, no, actually not unfortunately. Just it is what it is. Exhaust is at focus speed, which is a new spell speed level, which is, you know, you could equate it to gem speed.
Yeah.
That was confirmed by the devs on Twitter, that focus means gem speed, which, if you're unfamiliar with gem speed, is it effectively can be played at burst speed, but can't be played while there are spells or skills on the stack or during combat.
Yep. Which is, it's good they made a speed for that, because it was just like typing out every time, can't be played. Yeah,
everyone just called it gem speed, and actually it's kind of funny, the symbol for it looks like a gem, which is pretty funny.
It has to be on purpose.
It's got to be on purpose, right? But focus is perhaps a little more evergreen way to template that instead of saying gem speed, even though we all wink would know what it means. People who start playing the game in 5 years might not know what it means. So yeah, definitely a good quality of life thing to put on there. Just makes it a little bit easier. And now, I mean, hey, that opens up a little bit more design space. I think, you know, I think it was Steve Rubin, or maybe it was even, it might have even been Umbridge. I don't remember. We've been doing this for so long, Saucy. Someone on the dev team was talking about how, like, that speed didn't even exist for, you know, when the game released, or like it was very shortly after. I mean, we didn't see that speed in up until Gem. So really cool that they're able to experiment with that and whatnot. But any other ones from these early sort of the Renekton spoilers and up that jump out to you?
Obviously, there's the Poro, but it's too amazing. We don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, it'll be too good. We don't want to give that one away. It'll be too good.
It's too strong. What about I don't know how to say these people's names.
No idea.
Do you know how to say the Bakai boss?
Bach.
In my Nasus reveal video, I almost called it the Bukaki. So that's
that's
not what it is.
Nailed it.
Yep, the Bakai Sand Spinner. It's a 4-mana 5/3 play. Grant an enemy -1 and vulnerable.
Yeah,
there's a lot of vulnerabling going on, is what I'm gonna say.
There really is, and we even see. I mean, Renekton wants you to do that, right?
Yep.
He actually triggers off. He gets buffs when he challenges an enemy, but he doesn't naturally have Challenger, so you can either give him Challenger or. You can make your opponents, you can make your enemies vulnerable, which is pretty sweet. I mean, it really seems very elegantly tied a lot of these like mini themes together on cards that really bring the cards around. Like we see a lot of these cards give minus attack, and that kind of plays into Nasus, which we saw today. So it's like, oh, well, why are all these cards giving minus attack? Is that kind of a thing? Well, it doesn't really. It kind of works with Renekton, but then we see Nasus, and it's like, oh, kind of works with Renekton, also kind of works with Nasus. And Renekton and Nasus are kind of doing different things, but also they like their supporting cards kind of tie together. And like it's stuff like that, and we haven't even really explored, or at least I haven't, like all the other possibilities of other champions in other regions, where it's like it doesn't need to be as like beat you over the head with it as Soraka Tahm Kench, right? It's like, oh, all the support cards for these two like champs, they like mash them together, and they're like banging the dolls together and like love each other, be best friends and love each other. It's like you can be a little more subtle with it, and it seems like a lot of these cards in Shurima have kind of done that, which is really cool to me.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, and then Renekton himself, he's pretty cool. No need to go too deep into him because everyone on the entire planet has already.
Every single person has.
Yep, but he's sick. He does good stuff and does things. So then we had next was the Jarvan reveal,
yes.
Right?
Yep.
So let's talk about Jarvan a little bit, because this is the champion that I think is going to be all over the G-Damn ladder for a long time.
Yeah.
He is nutty and very strong.
He seems kind of like Nutty Bananas in the best way possible.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And with it, we got some really good spells and a bunch of support. What do you think about it's his spell, right? Yeah, Cataclysm. 3 mana, slow Demacia spell, and ally starts a free attack challenging an enemy.
I mean, it's very interesting. The Cataclysm and even Jarvan himself and some of the other cards, they kind of made like Jarvan's Cataclysm it's kind of like single combat, but it's notably quite different than single combat. Yes, it's slow, but it also starts a free attack. So at face value, it's like, oh, well, this is kind of like a more expensive, slow single combat. That doesn't seem good, but it's like, oh, things that proc on attack, or, oh, I don't know, this little champion named Misfortune or Quinn that want to see allies attack. All of a sudden, you get another proc there. Something that, you know, when an ally attacks, it gets plus this, or et cetera, et cetera. It's like all these, like, it's very subtle, but again, it synergizes with I would say a surprisingly large number of things. I haven't actually looked at it yet. Looked at all of the possibilities. I haven't gone as deep into the brewery yet.
Well, I got you, Blevins.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready for this?
Yes.
Because when saw this card, there's some things that came to mind that I thought you specifically would like.
Okay.
This is pretty good in emusives.
Ooh.
Because you start a scout with a free attack, and then you get to rally, essentially.
Wait.
Yep.
Wait. No.
You get to attack afterwards.
Wow. No, that's insane. That's actually
it's really
insane.
good with scouts. Yep. And that's why. So then we have the King Jarvan. It comes with this whole set.
Yes.
When he's summoned, draw Jarvan. If he's already in play, give allies Challenger and Scout. Have you ever seen a Scout Garen?
Yes, and it is terrifying.
So yeah, but Cataclysm with emusives is pretty dumb. Unloose the moose.
Sold. Zinc Elemental, if you're listening, brew this one up and hit Masters with it next season, or else I will, and you'll never hear the end of it.
Ever.
I do love, so the champion, just for those who aren't familiar or looking at it or are familiar with the lore, the champion is named Jarvan the Fourth. The King Jarvan is Jarvan the Third, you know, his father. And what's funny is he's basically the boat, right? He's Jarvan's boat.
Yeah.
which is funny that he's like
not a Jarvan.
Yeah, he draws you a Jarvan. It's like I'm trying to think, is every other card that draws the champion? Yes, there's Draven's biggest fan, but that puts him on top of the deck.
He doesn't draw it.
He doesn't draw it. Yeah, it does not count. I think canonically, King Jarvan III is in fact a boat now. There's no, I mean, how can you argue against that? He absolutely is a boat.
There's no way. There's no way you can argue this. Definitely a boat.
I will not be hearing it nonetheless. Nope. But
yeah, Jarvan the boat.
This one, yeah. There's also no, there's actually not a ton of other cool. I guess Golden Aegis is kind of interesting. Given ally barrier this round and rally. I mean, I don't know. It costs 4 mana and is slow, which is not good. That's definitely a mark against it. But both of those things, both the barrier and rally, are things that Fiora generally wants. So I'm curious if we end up seeing a Golden Aegis somewhere in a Fiora deck, but we'll see.
Yeah. Any other super exciting cards you liked from the
from Demacier? Go ahead.
The Squire? Were you gonna talk about?
I was gonna say Penitent Squire, but mostly because it's another card that has additional lore, I believe, like just based on the pictures. I'm trying to, I can't remember which other. I saw it on Reddit. There's like I think Gallant Rider, Penitent Squire, and one of the other pictures I believe has her in it, and it like kind of tells a story akin to like the Cytheria the Bold, Cytheria of Cloudfield, and the other one whose name escapes me. But I just like the little things like that where it's like, oh, we've got this 1-drop card that is in other arts, and you can see it be kind of consistent, which is pretty cool, I think.
Yep, and it's a 1-mana 2/2, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, 1 mana 2/2. It's specifically not an elite because it actually triggers off of elites, but Cytheria of Cloudfield getting a little not strictly power crept, but she's certainly elite tag is really holding up a lot here to keep her on par with some of these other cards. But
all right, let's start talking about things that got me really excited.
Yeah.
So we have a splattering of new landmark support, but there's one specific card that gets me all tingly and excited, and I'm going to be putting it in basically every deck because why would I not? Mm-hmm. It is the Preservarium. It is a 2-mana landmark. Oh, it's so good. Oh, don't DMCA.
Oh, crap.
DMCA.
Man, that would be the most impressive thing. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Yep, sorry. I sound
this
too
is
much
a sweet
like
card,
Metallica.
Though. It is. I thought you were playing the song. That's why I got worried.
Yep.
So this is a landmark, 2 mana. When I'm summoned, draw 1. It's okay.
Yeah.
It has countdown 2, draw 1.
That looks like draw
it's
2
like
cards.
Think Twice from Magic the Gathering.
Yes, Think Twice. Oh man. Give me more things like Time Spiral, and I'll be happy. And also today's episode brought to you by Time Spiral Remastered. Check out your friendly local game store to buy. Oh, sorry.
No,
wait.
It's not.
Oh, wait, it's not.
It's specifically not.
Watsy, send us sealed product, and we'll put that ad on the show. No cap.
True.
True. I do want it.
Yeah, send that to. But seriously, yep. True. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I like it. Cat is out of the bag at this point. Talia. I think Talia.
It's both. It's both.
Oh, it actually is both. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you gotta do both just to make people pissed off.
Yes. She is the landmark champion. When you play her, she's a 5-mana 2/4. When you play her, summon an exact copy of an allied landmark. There's a veritable bevy of different landmarks, both cheap, expensive, ones that are generated from cards. And there's a lot that you can do with Talia. Preservarium. I mean, the cool thing is that these countdown landmarks, when you summon an exact copy, it will copy whatever the countdown is at. It won't give you like a fresh one. So like if you have, if you play Preservarium, draw your card, countdown goes down to 1, you play Talia, next turn, you're going to be drawing from the original Preservarium and the newest one. As well as like all the, the hibernating rock bear, which summons a 5/4. Some of the Lysandra tokens as well. You can get 8/8s there. We'll talk about Lysandra in just a second. But
Howling Abyss.
True. You can get 2 Howling Abysses. You can go double ARAM. The one card I think, well, I'll quickly touch on this because I think everyone kind of agrees that it's a very good card. Desert Naturalist. 4 mana, 2/4 play. Destroy a landmark if it's an ally. If it's allied, summon a Grumpy Rock Bear, which by the way is a 5/4. Right? It's just a vanilla 5/4, I think.
Yeah, it's a big dude.
Big booty duty. Yeah, 4 mana, 2/4. If you have one of these like throwaway landmarks, you just get a 5/4, which is insane to me. And also, you can just destroy your enemy's landmark, which there hasn't really been a like very good. There's been playable landmark destruction, but there hasn't been like a great one that you're super happy to just include and that has like real value outside of the landmark destruction. Like you can play Divergent Paths, but that's very niche, sees rare play. Scorched Earth, I think, is probably the most played one and the most versatile one. But it that so rarely actually hits the landmarks. I felt. This is like Desert Naturalist is like, if you're playing landmarks, you've just got the ability to summon, for 4 mana, you're summoning a 2/4 and a 5/4. Now, granted, you've obviously put the investment of your own landmark into it, but, that's neither here nor there. At worst, it's just a 4 mana 2/4, which is not good, but it's better than having a blank 3 mana or potentially even more mana spell just in your hand. So I really like Desert Naturalist. But the card that I've seen a ton of people talking about, and I'm curious of your thoughts on it, Saucy, is Ancient Hourglass. 2 mana fast spell, obliterate an ally, and summon a stasis statue in its place.
No, that card is just good. It's kind of like has the glimpse like thing where you use this. You can use it in combat. You can use it when your stuff's being targeted. What's good to know is so what it does is it makes a stasis statue which has countdown 1 that summons an exact copy of the unit that it replaced. There's a lot of things you can do with this. You can copy it with Talia, whatever. But it is an exact copy, so it retains the status of the unit, so it's same health, same level up progress, all of that. So it's very good. Like if you're playing, let's say you have like a Callista and she's close to leveling and she's gonna die, you can use this to save her and maintain that progress, which is really good.
Yeah, I think that is really where a lot of folks have been talking about how much they like this card. When we think about the current state of at least the competitive meta, it's like it's Twisted Fate, it's Aphelios, and those two champions being able to even being able to play a spell like Ancient Hourglass to protect them relatively cheaply in a way that preserves the progress on it. I mean, that can just be absolutely game breaking. If you can level up a Twisted Fate, I mean, we already know how strong that is, right? Like it's just so good.
And you can do the cheeky things if it's on a champion. You can use this way to cheat out another copy of that champion too.
Yeah.
Because the one's encapsulated in a statue and you can play the other one and then the other one gets free.
Yep.
Do stuff.
Yeah, this is one of the more interesting cards that has been revealed thus far for sure. It's got a lot of versatility. I think in terms of power level, it's like quite versatile but not broken, and it allows you to do cool things. It feels a lot like a Time Spiral card. I'm getting Time Spiral flashbacks here now. Hashtag MTG Boomer activate. But I mean, that was one of the most fun sets to play, at least for me. And this feels like it's like I'm getting like Momentary Blink vibes here. We've got Momentary Blink and think twice in this set,
Yeah.
Saucy. I'm getting
Yeah.
my mouth is watering with anticipation for sure.
Yep. Another card that I like that is kind of unassuming, the Rock Hopper. 2 mana 3/1. When it's summoned, it creates a Rolling Sands, which is a landmark, 2 mana landmark, and it's when an enemy is summoned, destroy it and grant it vulnerable. Remember, this one's grant.
Oh, it is grant. Interesting.
Yep. I thought it was give.
Yeah.
And it is grant. I can promise you that.
Yeah, it is. This feels a lot like, it feels similar to the old Precious Pet.
Yeah.
Where it's much less broken than the old Precious Pet, which was
exactly.
like 1 mana. The next unit your opponent plays enters stunned.
Stunned, yeah.
It's so confusing. This is kind of an elegant way to do something that's less powerful than that. But still like kind of throws a wrench into maybe your opponent's, timing and tempo on their plans. It's like, well, I kind of really want to spend my turn 4 playing, this 4 mana 4/4, but I don't want it to have vulnerable, so maybe I have to lead with a 2-drop instead.
Yep.
Very unassuming.
For some interesting plays.
Yeah, I mean that line itself is good enough, and a 2 mana 3/1 is not like amazing stats, but definitely passes the vanilla test, I would say. And also just like a cheap, efficient way to just generate an additional landmark, which we've seen is actually just a very relevant thing here.
Yeah, and like since it has aggressive stats, what's cool with it is then like your opponent's like, crap, they don't want to play something that this can just trade into if you have the attack token. So then you can do. That's when the what is it? The lobster pass gets very interesting.
Yeah, you go Rock Hopper if it's like turn 4. You go Rock Hopper, they're like, whoa, well, I can't really play I definitely can't play my X3, but I'm like, I don't even want to play my X4 because what if they have, Crescent Strike, or not Crescent Strike?
Yeah.
Not Crescent Strike.
Whatever, something.
Any pump spell. What if they have a pump spell? Like I get completely blown out here. And if they don't, it's like, okay, well, I can play my Desert Naturalist, next turn, get a 5/4 for free, essentially, because I destroyed my Rolling Sands. You passed your turn. Yeah, I mean, I love the mind games that can be played here. These cards seem very unassuming, but I think, because Rock Hopper, not a broken card by any means, right? Like it's not going to be like, people aren't going to be like, oh, Rock Hopper's so broken, they need to nerf it. It's so good.
Rito, please nerf.
Right, but I do think that high skill players that are familiar with playing the deck that Rock Hopper is in and like that type of card are going to be able to get a ton of value out of it. Very, very unassuming card. I'm really glad you brought that one up because it's one that I really like that I think a lot of people are overlooking.
And then I think the last card that I cared about from this is Shaped Stone.
Pretty
strong. 1 mana burst speed spell. Give an ally +1/+1 this round. Or if you've summoned a landmark this game, +3/+1 for 1 mana.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah, Woof. I mean being able to give 3 attack and a buff of health is definitely huge. I mean, we've seen so many pump spells in Runeterra are playable, right? But they're, the just buffing attack, Elixir of Wrath has seen some play in very aggressive decks. This obviously can be much better than that. And obviously Elixir of Iron also seen play. This, grants 1 fewer health than that, but +3/+1, those are stats that you will not be scoffing at. And at 1 mana, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted from the Talia?
I very quickly want to touch on Stone Weaving because I think that is a card that people need to keep their eye on. It's again another card that you kind of have to set up because it's 1 mana burst spell. Look at 3 random landmarks you can afford. Pick 1 to create in hand. So essentially is like a not a tutor because it's not coming from your deck, but that's even cooler because you don't need to put the landmarks in your deck. So if you have an idea of what landmarks are at each mana level, or mana cost, you can really set this up potentially to be quite good, or at least quite versatile. So I'm interested to see how that one pans out, because it's might be a little tough to use, but I think it could be very interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun card. It's really cool.
Yeah. Let's now move on, Saucy, to your girl, the one that you've been very excited about, the Lysandra cards.
I have never been so excited for a card before. So I don't even know how many times I've talked about this on the podcast, let alone everywhere I go.
Yeah.
The thing I've always wanted in this game is to give my Nexus tough. It's what I've wanted.
It's true.
And this does it. Oh my god. Yep. That's all I have to say. I'm so ready. This is the thing that I need.
Tough Nexus. So good. I believe we got Riot confirmation that a tough Nexus does get counter. It does counter puff caps. So like you just don't take puff cap damage anymore, which is kind of insane. But yeah, Lysandra, for those listening, 3 mana, 2/3 tough. When I'm summoned, summon a Frozen Thrall, and then level up when you've summoned 2+ allies that cost 8+, and when they level up, create a Watcher in hand. So a lot of moving parts there. A Frozen Thrall is a 1 mana landmark. Yeah, 1 mana landmark, countdown 8. And at the end of the countdown, you summon a Frostguard Thrall, which is an 8/8 overwhelm. And
which
then
is okay.
Yeah, which is okay. Kind of a big unit, but then the Watcher, or just the card is just named Watcher. That is a 17. Yes, I said that correctly. 17 mana unit. That is an 11/17. I cost 0 if you've summoned 4+ allies that cost 8 this game. And there's no other text, right? That can't possibly be anything more. Oh, also, when it attacks, obliterate the enemy deck. What?
Fine.
What?
I love it. And the animation, so good.
Friendship with Maokai ended. I'm now a Watcher main. We've already seen people theorizing about awesome and creative ways to either cheat out the Watcher with like Spectral Matron, or do crazy things with Trundle's Ice Pillar and bouncing it and replaying it, et cetera, et cetera. So really cool.
The thing I'll say about the Watcher is it is not that hard to make this cost 0.
Yeah.
It's really not that difficult, so you don't have to put as much mental thought into making like all these crazy ways to cheat it out.
Yeah.
It's very not hard at all to make this 0. That's all I'll say. That's the thing I'll say here. 8
costs are pretty strong in Runeterra, and also it's summoned. If you've summoned, not if you've played. So those Frozen Thralls, which can just be put in your deck, but are also created by Lysandra, when those pop, when when Dark Depths pops, those all count towards the Watcher, and also from for leveling up Lysandra. Also, even though it effectively costs 0 mana, Trundle's Ice Pillar also counts as an 8-cost card.
That does, and then we also the new card we got, the Draklorn Inquisitor, the 5 mana 4/5 Freljord card.
Yeah.
This also makes a Frozen Thrall, but then at the round end, if the countdown of any of your Frozen Thralls is 4 or less, it advances them to 0, so they get summoned. So this whole Frozen Thrall package makes the Watcher quite easy to make cost 0.
Yeah, and it says if the countdown of any of your Frozen Thralls is 4 or less, advance them to 0. Does it advance all of them?
Yeah, all of them. So if you have a bunch out, it makes them all pop.
So that's so stupid, but also awesome. Yeah. Also, the art on that card is just badass. I love the look of that card. That is sweet. That is just awesome.
And so I'm gonna have this conversation, I think, one final time, Levins, because I've had this it may be in the hundreds now, probably like easily 20 times just on tonight's stream. People telling me, oh, you can't play Teemo anymore because Lysandra counters Teemo. So let's have this conversation real quick.
Sure.
One, a card existing that does well against another specific card does not completely nullify the entire card's existence. That's just like saying champions are countered because vengeance exists. That's not how it works.
Yeah, but Saucy, it dies to Doomblade.
Yes, it does. The thing that counters Teemo more than this is Vile Feast, Parlay, Thermo Beam,
Go hard.
Make It Rain. Removal counters Teemo more than a leveled up champion.
Yeah.
Also, she has to be leveled up. She has to be on the field.
Yeah.
And you're probably dead by that time anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I tend to side with those people, Saucy, because we saw once Hush was released, every single card that had an ability did stop getting played, and we just play vanilla. It's just nothing but Chillwind Yetis and Bull Elnuks, right?
It's true. I mean, in spells in the game, we can't play all of these big spells we talked about.
Yeah.
You can't, like, how cool was that spell we just talked about, Ancient Hourglass? Oh, shit. Notify's in the game.
Notify exists.
Therefore, Ancient Hourglass cannot be played. Literally cannot be played in any deck.
True.
Cannot play it.
Yeah. I'll say.
Oh shit! And all these things have skills, and like so, Deny can stop those.
True.
The game, you can't even play the game.
Man, sad. It's a sad state of affairs. And I mean, we got all these cool landmarks, but Desert Naturalist exists, so you can't play landmarks anymore. We're just at a point where we can play nothing but burst spells.
Yep,
that's it.
Oh, I am excited for this is funny because I was having this conversation with one of my friends the other day, and they're like, "Oh, this Freljord cards look good, but like, too bad Freljord has no landmark removal." I'm like, "Oh, but it does. It that stares."
Yup. Sure
it kills all of the landmarks.
It sure does. Yeah, it that stares. All of a sudden. I imagine that if this were MTG, it that stares as an epic would be going up in price right now. People would be specking on it that stares pretty hard right now, if I had to guess. Yeah, I think overall the Freljord cards. Ooh, the other one, Blighted Ravine. The landmark avalanche, kind of. 4-mana landmark. When I'm summoned, heal your Nexus 4, count down to 1, deal 2 to everything. A lot of people are going to look at it and say, oh, this is like a different avalanche, but like, think about it. You're on your, your attacking turn, on your attack token. If you have avalanche, your opponent can kind of play around it and then by open attacking, right? Well, if you play Blighted Ravine, they both can't develop because it's going to go off at the beginning of turn with no there's no opportunity to respond, or it's going to and they can't open attack because it's going to clear the board, so you can't actually do anything against the Blighted Ravine. It just gives you the free development punish and the open attack punish, because it kind of covers both, and it gains you 4. Again, this is another card, Blighted Ravine, where like its power level I don't think is like over the top. But again, like the Rock Hopper and a couple of these other cards, I think a cleverly placed Blighted Ravine is going to be devastating. I think some people are going to be playing it and be like, this card is not that good. It's just like worse Avalanche. And if you're playing it like Avalanche, it very well may end up being like a worse Avalanche. But I'm just thinking of like top tier players, like high master players playing Blighted Ravine at like the perfect time. You're just like, I can't do anything about this without getting ranched.
It's true though. I'm gonna keep talking about Freljord because this is what I care about.
Oh, keep going.
And so therefore the podcast has to care about it. The other very bonkers card that if it's not on your watch list needs to be Three Sisters.
Yes.
This is a 1-mana burst spell that you can create either, and you get to choose a Flash Freeze, a Fury of the North, or an Entomb in hand. This is another one of the modal cards are super powerful. You get the choice. This is good at all times in the game because you get Flash Freeze on defense if you need, or on offense, who knows. If they just don't block your shit, you can just make a Fury of the North. Or if they try to kill something, you can get an Entomb. Like, it's crazy strong. For the cost of 1 mana, 1 spell mana, you get the choice.
Yeah, I mean, the flexibility is very strong in Runeterra. Again, like a card that like, if you just end up playing this, like I mean, a lot of times you are probably going to end up playing it as a 4-mana flash freeze. But if your deck is built in a way and that you're playing in a way that like you can sometimes get a lot of value off the Fear of the North, and like Entomb is kind of a versatile card. Flash freeze obviously is a very versatile card. Like you can get a ton of value at having that range of cards. And not to mention, it counts as 2 spell casts as well, which is very relevant for certain, champions. I mean, are we going to actually finally see the like Ionia Freljord control deck that was like, the enlightened deck that never happened ever? I don't think I've ever seen it happen outside of like starter decks. It was never
great.
It was never good.
It was in like, I think in like the second closed beta, it was okay back when Anivia was broken.
Oh, right.
With it, but not since release. It's always been kind of a meme. But yeah, I mean, like think of this with Karma. You get 4 spells.
Mm-hmm.
Like this cast twice, and then you have the other 2 spells, like to cast spells. Like it's nuts. It's this card is good. It's a very good one.
I like
with
it a lot.
Puffcap Peddler, that's 2 spell casts. With Starlit Seer.
Mm-hmm.
This will be a good winter. It's amazing. I'm so excited.
Who goes that?
Can you tell? Can you tell that I'm excited, Blevins?
It's so good. Yeah, there's a lot of really good cards here. I mean, we can even let's just cap it off too. Ice Shard. We've got fast half avalanche.
Yeah, which is really sick with Lysandra because it deals 1 to everything. But if your Nexus has tough, you don't care.
Yeah. Tough. Also leveled up Lysandra. I forgot to finish what leveled up Lysandra does. It also at the round start creates a fleeting 0 cost Ice Shard in hand, which is normally a 3-mana fast spell, deal 1 to everything. So, I mean, you get to. I mean, yes, it does damage your own things, and yes, it does damage yourself. But again, if with Lysandra out, she won't take any of the damage, and neither will you. But like you get to Withering Wail every turn, and every 2 turns, it's a free avalanche, which like.
Yeah.
In the control type of deck that I think you're likely going to want to run with Lysandra, seems pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I like it so much. And then I'm just going to, why not? Cold Resistance. It's another 5-mana burst spell that gains an empty mana gem and gives an ally or grants an ally +0/+2. So more ramp, just what Freljord needed. More burst speed spell ramp.
I mean, that is I'm curious if we see this one see play, but it does it's definitely very different than Catalyst because it at times like the health granting can be way better than gaining health. Yeah. But it's a little more narrow, so I'm curious to see where and if we see that, if that sees play, but
I have a couple reasons this could see play.
Okay.
Once Taric becomes meta, you
can
ramp twice with him. But more importantly, I always think of stuff like this. Redundancy in cards is very important, especially for things like singleton formats. If there's ever like once we get Commander in Runeterra, or if singleton ever becomes a thing, that's important. But redundancy is just good.
That is very.
Who knows if we ever have an effect that like a counter spell that makes it to where they can't cast those spells again. Like if there's a super counter spell. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Things like Meddling Mage, like they rip it from your hand and you can't cast them. Well, you might need this. Who knows?
Very true.
Redundancy is good.
Very true. Also, additional procs for Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Or Pursuit of Perfection, rather.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm back in. Okay, so with the Lysandra cards, also, I mean, we already talked about it. Entomb, 5-mana fast spell, obliterate a unit and summon a frozen tomb in its place. The frozen tomb is a 0-mana landmark, though you can't actually put this in your deck. Countdown 2, summon an exact copy of the obliterated unit I play. So similar to the Hourglass, but you can use it on enemies. So
exactly.
Which is pretty sweet. So
this is another one you can use in tricky situations, like their TF's about to level up or whatever. You can do with it what you will. Like I think in the video they showed stopping a Heimerdinger with it. So yeah, it's more tricky stuff.
But Speaking of, I don't know if this is tricky. This kind of just beats you over the head with it. We got the Nasus reveals today.
Doggo time.
Doggo, bark, bark.
Bark.
I would play the Who Let the Dogs Out, but I don't want you to get DMCA'd. So
you would get me banned from Twitch.television.
Also, I don't have it on deck, so Sag.
Perfect.
But we got Nasus, who is a 6-mana fearsome 2/2. I've lost interest. I have +1/+1 for each unit you've slain this game. I've gained interest. And Slay, I believe, is if you have essentially if you've killed any units from your opponents, or if you've killed your own units with a spell, essentially.
If your cards have caused something to die, essentially. So if you use a spell or one of your units to kill something. So this doesn't work for like barrels or ephemerals or tossing.
Or just trading.
Unless you kill them with the trade. Yeah.
You can kill their units and have it count as Slay, but not your own.
Yep. Or your own. So with like Glimpse.
Yes.
So Nasus, that's this new Slay. Carry on.
Yes, so could potentially get big pretty quick. When I strike for 10+ damage, levels up. The level 2 version, and we specifically have to say level 2 because Nasus is an Ascended. Level 2 Nasus still has Fearsome, but now has Spell Shield, and still has the +1/+0, or sorry, +1/+1, not +1/+0 for each unit you've slain this turn. Base stats of 3/3 now. But also has the text, enemies have -1/-0. And then, of course, to level 3, you need to restore the Sun Disk. But if you do, level 3 Nasus, 6 mana, base power 10/10, still has the I have +1/+1 for each unit you've slain this game. And also just has the static ability, enemies have -3/-0. So good luck blocking this gigantic dog.
Yeah. The leveled up version, a couple of things that are important is he gets Spell Shield. So the reveal video showed him in a Shadow Isles deck, which this I've heard a lot of people talking about. Like you could use this as a replacement for like the She Who Endures.
They Who Endure.
They Who Endure. She Who Wander Endures. They Who Endure deck. Now you don't need to be in Freljord, so you can Atrocity this because it has Spell Shield, which is sick, and it gets huge. And it has like a permanent Frenzied Skitterer effect.
Yes, even better than Frenzied Skitterer, which is pretty insane because you can harrowing back a couple of the Nasuses. That seems pretty good. And even Nasus's champion spell, Siphoning Strike. 5-mana slow spell. An ally strikes a unit, so it is a one-way strike, like Concerted Strike, not like single combat. If it dies, grant allied champions everywhere +2/+2.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, this card is stronger than I think most people that I've seen talking about it give it credit.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about this is like such a flavor win because this works so well with Renekton, who is Nasus' brother. That's just the best brotherly love there is, right?
Yeah.
Even though they want to kill each other, but don't worry about that. Works really well with Renekton.
What does Renekton, or sorry, what does Nasus have to say about his relationship with Renekton?
Is this a joke?
It's a bit
rough. What's that? Rough.
It's a bit rough.
Because he's a doggo.
Because he's a dog. Get it?
He's a doggo.
Oh boy, I'll be here all day. But yeah, this yeah, I mean, Siphoning Strike is like, I'm like, okay, it's a 5-mana, like it's like a worse Concerted Strike, but it's like, grant allied champions everywhere +2/+2. What? Seems insane. I don't know how many of these you're going to be running main deck, and obviously, yes, it can be essentially countered if they kill the unit that you are using in response, but like you can be safe with it. It is slow, yes. It certainly has a cost to it, but it is a champion spell, so maybe it's only run as a Nasus champion spell. But I could see a copy or two finding its way into even potentially non-Nasus Shurima deck. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
We got more Bachi. We got the 1 mana Bachi Reaper, which is a 1 mana 1/2 fearsome. When you slay a unit, grant me +1/+0. It seems pretty good. Kind of like is it Starlight Seer? Starlight Seer, yeah, that can just get huge. But Bachi Reaper has a relevant keyword in fearsome, so a bit of evasion where the Starlight Seer, am I thinking of the right one? 1 mana 0/3 gets bigger whenever you heal. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's just kind of vanilla. You can just chump block it forever. Bachi Reaper, a lot of times is going to be trading up if it gets blocked. Like almost always, it's going to be trading up because it has fearsome. So it's just such a cheap card that has fearsome. It's just going to naturally get bigger. I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, it's very strong. 1 drops fearsome, good. It has a good butt. That 2 health butt. That 2 butt, not bad.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good.
Another Bachi.
Go ahead. Let's talk about this card.
Yes.
That kind of fits with all of this slay stuff.
Slayer.
How about Rite of Calling? Rite
of Calling.
0 mana slow spell. Kill an ally or destroy one of your mana gems to draw a champion.
That seems pretty strong.
Yeah, another and that's the thing. Any card that has a quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes, an inherent downside on the card is usually probably not a downside.
Right.
And we found that up. I mean, Magic players, we've known this forever, but we found it out really quickly in this game. Killing your own stuff is usually not a downside.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, the inherent downsides of kill an ally or destroy a mana gem, I don't even see those necessarily as a downside. We did see one other card that references having fewer mana gems, which was it was actually from the Renekton Unworthy, which is a 2 mana slow spell. Give an enemy follower -4/-0 this round. If you have fewer mana gems than your opponent, kill it instead. So just a 2 mana kill enemy follower, potentially, if you're playing these destroy your mana gem cards. But
yeah,
seems like it could be a sub theme potentially. But I think the real downside to Rite of Calling is actually the fact that it's a slow spell and not fast or burst. If it was fast, it would actually be insane because you all of a sudden get the counter ability of a glimpse or some of the other spells. So it would probably be broken if it was faster burst, but
if it was fast, it'd be nuts because you could use
it
to fade removal and do a bunch of crazy nonsense.
Yeah, which I wish that we could, but it still seems very good. It does trigger Slay because it is killing your own units. Again, you can manipulate your deck to where if you only want to draw something like Fiora, or if you only wanted to draw Nasus, you can just build your deck so that you only draw Nasus, or you only draw Fiora, or you only draw whoever with this card. So really seems strong. 0 mana spells, every Magic player's ears perk up when they hear about a 0 mana spell. They don't always pan out, but it's always like, okay, there's something potentially broken here.
Yep. I just wanted to talk about that. But yeah, you wanted to talk about the other I can't say its name.
Bachi. Rampaging Bachi. 5 mana 4/6 Overwhelm. Play if you've slain 4+ units this game. An enemy and I strike each other. So he gets to single combat an enemy if you've slain 4+ units this game. 5 mana 4/6, pretty decent stats. I would rather, I think in a lot of cases with this ability, I would rather have a 4/6 than like a 5/5, for instance. So I think actually kind of passes the vanilla test with, even better, potentially just because of the ability. And Overwhelm, this card seems really good. It's just like a really good tempo play. Essentially playing a 5 mana threat that can kill an enemy unit just seems really good, really powerful. So I'm really excited about rampaging Baki.
Bah.
Bach. Johann Sebastian Bach.
Mm-hmm.
Strong. Trying to think if there's any of the other ones from this batch that I'm like super excited about.
How do you feel about Ruinous Path? It's the 2
Ruinous
mana slow
Path.
spell, draw 1. If you've slain a unit this round, drain 2 from the enemy nexus.
It seems fine. Potentially even good. It seems like you definitely want it in an aggressive deck. But you draw a card. I mean, it always draws a card. I don't
Yeah,
know. This one's hard to
it's
evaluate.
interesting. It's very interesting. Like it feels like kind of Bernie. Like you want to play this with Funsmith, obviously. You want
Yeah.
to play this with Dreadway.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting. It's very interesting. 2 mana,
Yeah.
draw 1.
2 mana draw 1
Oh,
is all right.
I guess it just depends on how relevant dealing damage to the enemy nexus is. I could see
Yeah.
this with like Twisted Fate if we wanted to run this region with TF. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
interesting.
the bar for Twisted Fate has been set so high, though. That's the problem. It's like you can run a 2 mana draw 1 or a 3 mana on this turn, draw 3 the next turn. Which or like 1 mana draw 2, like compared to like the cards that Twisted Fate is already seeing, like Rummage and pick a card and all that. It's like this is just kind of, it's just very low power compared to that. And like there might be an interesting Bilgewater Shurima like Twisted Fate deck, but like it's got an excessively high bar to jump over before I think people are even going to consider going down that road.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those interesting cards. I feel
Yeah.
like this is one of those unassuming cards that at some point is going to be really good because
Yeah.
it'll synergize with something. But yeah, I don't know. It's just cards like this kind of get my deck building brain excited.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like a burn type card, right? And an aggressive card, and aggressive decks they want two things. They want to be able to race your opponent, and they want to not run out of gas, and this at least in some ways helps do both of those things a little bit. I think this type of card definitely could see play in in an aggressive shell for sure. I mean, at worst it replaces itself. It's just like how like the opportunity cost when it's already in your deck is pretty low, right? Paying 2 mana to draw a card to at least cycle itself, especially if you draw it late, is fine. It's the deck building cost that I'm more worried about. It's like where are you fitting this in? Does it actually fit into a deck like that? Are there better, more impactful cards, even though this is versatile and doesn't like have a real miss, it's still a cost to put it in your deck. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested to see how it plays out, but I'm not 100% sold on it.
Same, like literally same.
I mean, we didn't talk about every single card that's been revealed so far, but that is the kind of the top to bottom look at a lot of the cards. We'll again, next episode it will be release day, so I'm assuming have all of the cards considering they'll be in the client. So I can't know how we couldn't. Yeah, since we'll be able to play with them. Before we go, Saucy, do we want to take a couple of the listener questions that we got?
Sure. Let's talk about some stuff. All right, this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
So Astrofish asks, concerning Talea, do you think the board space issues of landmarks hurt her viability?
That's actually a good, or at least an interesting point. My short answer is probably not. Because in the Talia deck, I think a lot of the landmarks you want to play are countdown or have a short countdown. Or you can destroy with Desert Naturalist and make a 5/4. But there is something inherent about landmarks that makes you not want to actually run more than, like, honestly, you kind of don't really want more than one in play at any given time because your board just gets, like, deteriorated so quickly. So I actually kind of think yes, now that I'm thinking about it. The more I kind of thought entirely through it, and I'm almost thinking about maybe yes, potentially, because it, like, I think about, like, when my opponent, or even, like, if when I see, like, I have 2 temples out or 2 grand plazas, it's like, yes, it can be good, but also it's like a pretty big cost to do that. So maybe not.
Yeah, no, it definitely does affect her viability, and that's kind of like the important thing to think about. I've seen so many people like, oh, landmarks need their own space on the board, but then they'd be actually just stupid strong.
Yeah.
Like that's the downs. That's like the one of the major downsides to them, right? Is that they take up board space, and I think that's why most of the landmarks we're seeing are these countdown landmarks that don't stay on the board permanently. It does keep you from just playing like 76 hex core foundries, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely. I mean, them taking up board space is a thing.
I think okay, so I'm actually I think I've come full circle here. I think to answer the specific question, does it hurt her viability? I'm actually going to say no, but it does impact how you are able to play her. So
Yes.
I think you have to be much more careful when playing her because of that. I think there's actually a lot of nuance in, like, setting up your countdowns, and, like, you can't actually just jam every countdown necessarily as soon as possible because you're going to get overrun. Sometimes you have to wait. You have to have a good mix in your deck to begin with. You have to really think about what landmarks you're actually wanting to copy with Talia. So her viability may not actually be impacted by it inherently, because I think if you are playing her well and playing her correctly, she can be very powerful. I do think that means you have to be much more selective with the quantity of landmarks that you have in the deck, as well as the actual landmarks you have, because I don't think you just want to be like, oh, well, just, like we saw with Deep when it first came out. It's like, okay, let's keyword search Deep, put every single card in there, and fill in with 2 additional cards. Like,
well, we're gonna see that. We're gonna see the landmark.
We're definitely going to see that
landmark. And
yeah,
Talia done.
Which
Good
is
deck.
I think, and this seems like it's kind of a theme for a lot of the cards. I feel like the devs have really pushed they've pushed the complexity, and therefore, like, the distance between the skill floor and the skill ceiling for these cards, I think, has widened.
Yes.
Which is cool, and which is what you would expect to see when we're on our 3rd set, right? Or wait, 4th set? Technically 3rd set if you count Bilgewater as
set, yeah.
Whatever. Whatever set we're on. It's pushed because I think if you do the let's search landmark, let's just jam as many as we can in here without thinking and play Talia, I have a feeling people are going to play Talia and be very underwhelmed by her. But I also think I'm, a player, a high level player, or not even necessarily a high level player. Once, if the community or competitive players take the time to actually test and figure out what the best numbers and ratios and strategies and actually lines of play with Talia are, once she gets optimized, I think she can actually be very powerful. But I think her game, the way that she ends up playing out is going to look a little bit different than decks we're used to, is my inclination. So my long-winded way of saying no to
I agree.
this question.
I don't think, yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's all I'll say. Yes. I don't want to answer that.
Okay. No, that's not.
I don't want to answer that.
And let's not.
I didn't even post. I posted
is there one more that we want? Just posted the username and didn't answer.
Yeah, I forgot to post the extra question, so I don't think I can actually answer that. All right, here's one from. Let's just do this one from Nerd Strong 1.
Okay,
I got one for you. With Lyssandra's new kit, we are seeing a lot of new options in building a proper control deck, a la blue-black control from Magic. Do you think we are on the course for players being able to say my favorite catchphrase, and I'm using quotes, draw go?
I mean, if you watch arguably one of the best players in the world, though he's kind of inactive right now, Rattling Bones play the Feel the Rush deck or War Mother's Control, they say they play draw go all the time. In fact, many high-level players, almost regardless of deck, would gladly play draw go if possible. Open passing at high levels is very much a strong play a lot of times, and it's a way that you can gain an advantage over opponents for sure. So I think at high levels, we're already seeing draw go as almost like the go-to strategy, and that's kind of like goes with the lobster pass that we've talked about. But to answer the spirit of the question, I don't know that Lysandra necessarily changes too much in that category, because I think a lot of, like, if you wanted to, and it's existed before, if you want to build like a Shadow Isles Freljord deck that's like nothing but removal and has one win con, which is kind of what like the traditional like blue-black control deck is, like you can already do that, and it's only sometimes good.
Yeah. That's my dream. That's all I'm gonna say. My favorite thing to do is not play cards in card games. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Without going too like deep into the theory and whatnot behind Runeterra, I think that the way that we see draw, like the deck that I always think of for like the blue-black control deck, at least one that I played, was a blue-black control deck when I think it was Guilds of, or it was the second Ravnica. So like Return to Ravnica, Guilds of Ravnica, and I think Innistrad, the first Innistrad. I might be mixing up my time periods, but like when those were legal, and like there's a blue-black control deck that was literally nothing but counterspells and removal. I think it had one like 7 mana like kill spell, or 7 mana like creature that you could kill with, and then like the main win condition was decking them out with Nephalia Drownyard, which was a land.
Yeah, I love that deck.
Yeah, that deck was great, and it did nothing except for reactively deal with your opponent's stuff. It never attacked, or maybe I don't even remember if there was an actual kill condition in the deck. I think it was just the land.
It was literally just Drownyard.
Yeah, it was just Drownyard. That type of deck is much rarer in Runeterra by design because combat is so important. And I think that Runeterra makes combat feel more impactful and better, as well as champions, right? Because champions effectively are, creatures in Magic, right? So because champions, are such a big part, as well as combat is such a big part of Runeterra, it probably won't be like that. Although, Drizoth, who's a top player, did make a Shadow Isles PNZ Hexcore deck that literally ran, the only units it ran were 2 Zonite Urchins. And it just won through decking out and Go Hearts. So you can do it now, and maybe Talia, or not Talia, maybe Lysandra helps that, but she also, like, I mean, her whole thing, there are 3 units involved with Lysandra. Lysandra, Frostguard, Thralls, and Watchers, so I don't know if that necessarily counts.
Yeah, you need units specifically, so.
I guess you can just Ice Shard your opponent out, maybe. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But
just Ice Shard them out. Let's go.
Yeah, just shard them out. I don't know. That's what I got. That's what I got for you.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, anything else that we wanna touch on?
Jeez, I feel like we had some other stuff, but my brain can only think about.
I mean, we talked about like a million spoilers. Yeah, we talked about like a million
there was
spoilers.
something else that was like podcast news, but I don't remember. So
was there? Seasonal, the LOR seasonal is happening this weekend. If you are wanting to watch competitive Runeterra, it's going to be on. Actually, I don't know if they've revealed the channel. I'm pretty sure it's going to be on. I don't remember. Just check the Play Runeterra Twitter. I think they've either tweeted it out or are going to tweet it out. I don't remember if they've tweeted out.
One of those probably will be true.
Yeah, I was told what the channel is, but I don't know if it's public information yet, and I don't know if they've tweeted it out. But just check at Play Runeterra for that, and watch that.
Yeah.
Our boy Boulevard is going to be on the analyst desk, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
As well as Amazonian and Silverfuse as well, and Swim. I mean, so many friends of us and friends of the podcast.
Stacked. It's stacked is what it will say.
And then Freak and Pastry Time too.
Yeah, never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. Nope.
But with that, Saucy, where can people find you on the internet when you're not here on the podcast?
Yes. You can find me on the internet doing things. Saucy.live is my website. I will say, if you're not following my YouTube, do, because next week, I can't say specific dates, but early in the week, there will be a lot of very sweet goodies coming about from the new set before the expansion goes live. So if you want potential deck lists and stuff, that's going out early. And all next week, at least, I'll probably be streaming once this sets out, like 12-hour streams till the end of time. So on Twitch, I'm just Saucy Mailman.
Good. Well, I am on Twitter at @the_Blevins. You can also find me casting Giant Slayer Fight Nights on Fridays, although not this Friday specifically because of the seasonal. Twitch.tv/Giant Slayer LOR. Make sure you are checking out the seasonal support, competitive Runeterra, and all that stuff there. You can follow the podcast at Runeterrable on Twitter. You can also go to DeckPics.Live. But the best place to go to find stuff about the podcast and also just to find myself and Saucy is discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. We post all of the updates and everything there. The community is amazing. Also, Saucy and I essentially live there. And if you want to go super primo non-pleb version, you can go to patreon.com/Runeterrable Radio and support us there as well. But that is going to be it for this episode. Again, next week, set's released. We'll have everything. We'll be doing a whole release super episode extravaganza like we normally do. But until then, I'm Blevins. For me and for Saucy Mailman, thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week. Talk about some more Legends of Runeterra.